Well, what are we looking at? The Men from Mars. Mars train, or MARRS. We're down to central number 7. Now, people don't know this. Well, there's a great big crane there in between all the platforms. Well, platform 15 and 14 are being converted for the new driverless train, the one that starts out there near Schofields and goes through Ryde and then comes back down into Sydney underneath the harbour, which is even lower than the Sydney Harbour Tunnel. And it's going to come down to here, and then it goes up there where that blue mesh is up there in the distance. When I get up there you'll see it, and those buildings, and then it goes down in a new tunnel and it goes out to Redfern and McAvoy Street off Botany Road, and then it turns around and goes underneath and comes out underneath the airport, comes out at Sydenham, and then they're going to convert this type of train track to their glass sliding doors here on the platform, and be driverless train, whereas these ones have a driver and a guard. And this train here I'm about to get on is our famous interurbans, and well, we've got 13 minutes before we go, but these are the beautiful interurbans that we have. They're actually about, I don't know, well, they've been around when I was on the railways, and that was back in 1976, so they're a very nice, comfortable train. May be old, but I'd rather sit in one of these than the new ones they got running from Sydney to Newcastle interchange, because I sat on that one day and I can only go as far as Gosford and I had to get off. Now this is one that's been slightly modified. This used to be a driver's cab, and they're taking it out. That's where the guard used to sit, and there, because there's the guard's door, and you can tell they pop riveted it up so people can't open it, and turn it back into a wall. And this is now used for push bikes. So that's where the guard, and that wall used to be there. So they moved the wall over even. That's right. Oh no, but this is where the guard used to be on these interurbans. But they've turned this one. This is for people with wheelchairs or push bikes and everything else. And they're purple. Look at that lovely purple. Whenever look. Isn't that lovely? Beautiful soft seats. I'll just make sure I'm not going to pull anybody. These are the most comfortable seats you'd ever sit on. 9042, if anybody's interested. See? Beautiful and soft. And those old carriages over there, you can get on Google Earth, you can see them. That's the Backpacker Hostel. They're using the old carriages there and the old siding that used to be for the car loading carriages. When they used to load cars on the trailers, on the carriages, double deck car carriers, they used to load them into there. And then before the Gold Coast Motor Rail or the Brisbane Limited or the Melbourne Spirit of Progress or Brisbane Limited, Gold Coast Motor Rail, Southern Aurora, Melbourne Daylight, the Gunr or the Union Pacific, they get loaded the cars on over there, and then the train will go forward, locomotives run down there, pick up the cars, hook them on and take them out, and then they're back down with the car carriages down onto the front of the train. And then they take the train, say from here, we go to Moreland Weber. And when I was about 16, all these train tracks here you're now looking at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, there'd be full of those wooden carriages, like them over there. We've all seen wooden carriages, and they'd all have steam engines. They'd be sitting in here, and all be going chuff, 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 chuff. You seen those old English movies? Well, there's one there you can see. You can YouTube it, and it's called Working Darling Harbour Rail Yard. Yes, Darling Harbour in Sydney, the big touristy thing, used to be a working goods yard, because Darling Harbour, where all the casinos now being built, is where the ships used to offload all their containers and freight before they made containers. And then once they started using containers in the early 80s, they then opened up Port Botany. So that was 40 odd years ago. So in the 60s, everything would just get unloaded by hand, be rolls of barbed wire, or a crate might have a big trucking engine in it, and everything used to go in there. Anyway, look it up. Working the Darling Harbour Yard. Word working, or Darling Harbour Railway Yard. And you'll see it. And the guys run around in stubby shorts and hanging off carriages and gravity speed the carriages. Yeah, very interesting. But that's where the steam engines used to all be sitting, just up here. Right here, all the steam engines would be sitting up the front, and all be chuff, 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 panting away. And people there be loading on, and down the back, down that way, and towards the rear of this train, the guards would be loading on the parcels, and they'd have the Mudgee Mail, the Cowra Mail, the Canberra Monaro Express, which went down to Canberra, and then down to Bombala, and then the other half would go way up to Jerilderie or somewhere else. So there's all sorts of trains. They're all gone now. There's a train out to Holbrook, which is now a deserted little town, been cut off from the highway down there off the Hume Highway. It's got a submarine in it. Now Holbrook, the main street of Holbrook, used to be the Hume Highway, and there's a submarine down there, HOLBROOK, Holbrook, and the submarine went there because the captain come from Holbrook in World War II, and that was his submarine, I believe. Look at that, can you see that up there? It's the spire of a building, put a ball on top. Yeah. Anyway, so there's all railway lines in New South Wales years ago. We've now got 27 unused railway lines, and one railway line was sold off, and that was the Glenray to Dorrigo. And Glenray is north of Coffs Harbour, and as you go, let's follow me, you go north of Coffs Harbour, and it goes out, it goes north, there's Glenray, and then the track used to come backwards and then go up to the west and go up into the foothills to Dorrigo, DORRIGO, and it's got all the old steam engines up there, and the guy took all the steam engines that were down here in Sydney, and they all got dumped up there. The guy thought he was smart, and he outwitted all these people, because the railway said, we don't want these steam engines on our train tracks throughout the state, get rid of them. Even though they're in mines, like the old coal mines around Newcastle, and the railway said, no, we're going to cut all those tracks off, so if we're going to get them out, because we're going to rip up all the tracks, because those mines are now shut, and they don't want the liability. So this guy turned around and said, well, bring all your steam engines up here. So everybody got their steam engines and put them on the back of a truck, and they sent them all the way up to Dorrigo, carriages and all sorts of things. You should have a look at Dorrigo on Google Earth. There's hundreds of carriages and steam engines, and I mean garrets, great big garrets, and people paid for the freight to protect the carriage that they bought, that they thought they were going to run down here on train tracks as a tourist attraction. Instead, they end up going to Dorrigo. They paid the freight to dump off an asset that they'd never ever used for the rest of their life. And that was in 1995. They offered me to buy the whole train track for $40,000. I believe in the end the guys ended up paying, I think it was $1 for a 100-year lease. Yeah, $1 for a 100-year lease, and or sold it for $1, I think, because the railways just could not sell it. Nobody wanted it for the liabilities. So lucky I saved me $40,000, because now the gunr Railway Society does nothing, and the Dorrigo Museum, which is privately owned, doesn't even open its doors to the public, and it does nothing, and the Dorrigo Council wants it gone. So I'm glad I didn't get involved in that. So yeah, not much happening down here. So anyway, so gunr to Dorrigo, been up there many a time. Now the Byron Bay solar powered train, I believe that could be running, I don't know. And if anybody knows, I'd love to hear from you and let me know. Alright, that's it here from Mr. Hominoid. Just sitting here waiting for my train. My Blue Mountains train. This one goes to Springwood, but I'm going to get off in Penrith, and I've got to do a bit of shopping before I go into hospital and my leg surgery. So this is how dead it is. In May 2020. Just absolutely dead. Alright, bye for now from Mr. Hominoid. Like and subscribe, give me a thumbs up, leave me a comment if you like a bit of history. Remember, the world is under lockdown, the whole world, and just getting out for today. This is great. I've had to come down here for medical reasons, so there you go. I made a day of it. Didn't touch anybody, didn't sit near anybody. It was like you're walking around in a state of isolation. Anyway, I get too old for this. See you later. Bye.